Welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where we explore a different crime or justice milestone from this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is January 16th. On this day in 1997, the world lost Ennis Cosby, a compassionate, promising young man, in a senseless act of violence. As the only son of entertainer Bill Cosby, Ennis's life and death became a deeply personal tragedy that sparked conversations about random violence and gun control nationwide. Today, we'll look at who Ennis was, what happened that tragic night, and how justice was served. Let's get started. Ennis William Cosby was born on April 15, 1969. He was the third of 5 children to Bill and Mikhail Cosby. As the only son, Ennis was deeply cherished by his family. Despite growing up in the spotlight, he was known for his humility and his kindness. Those who knew him best described him as a genuine, kind-hearted person with a deep sense of purpose. Now, even though he grew up rich with a famous father, life wasn't always easy for Ennis. He was diagnosed with dyslexia as a child, and it was a condition that made school an uphill battle for him. But with determination and his family's support, he overcame these challenges. Ennis ended up graduating from Morehouse College in Atlanta and went on to pursue a master's degree in education at Columbia University. His passion was helping children with learning disabilities in an effort to ensure that the next generation wouldn't have to face the same challenges that he faced alone. Ennis's commitment to making a difference was a reflection of his character. He was someone who used his experience to inspire and uplift others. On January 16, 1997, Ennis was visiting Los Angeles during a break from school. That evening, while driving his Mercedes-Benz convertible along Interstate 405 near the Sepulveda Pass, he got a flat tire. Ennis pulled off to the side of the road and called his friend Stephanie Crane. Stephanie was a longtime friend of Ennis's, and she arrived shortly after and parked behind Ennis's car to provide light as he worked on changing the tire. So Ennis is on the side of the road, Stephanie's headlights are giving him light, and he's focused on that. He's just trying to get his tire fixed and get on his way. So Ennis didn't even notice when a man approached him. This man, later identified as 18-year-old Mikhail Markhasev, demanded money. Ennis was just startled and completely unprepared for this encounter, so he hesitated. But Markhasev wasn't there for a delay. When he didn't get his money immediately, he pulled out a revolver and shot Ennis in the head. The bullet killed him instantly. Stephanie, who had been in her car this entire time, witnessed the murder. She immediately fled and drove to a phone to call 911. When she returned with police, Ennis's body was found on the ground beside his car. This, of course, was a high-profile case, and the LAPD immediately launched a massive investigation. They were under immense pressure due to the public scrutiny, and they needed to deliver answers. And for those of you who may be younger and who may not remember or have been alive during this time, I cannot overstate how popular Bill Cosby was at this time. This was a year before the news of all of his crimes broke, and he was nearly universally beloved in this country, as was The Cosby Show. So this was just such an insane, devastating thing to have happen to somebody who was considered to be America's dad. So you can understand how the LAPD was under a ton of pressure to close this case and get justice for the Cosby family. Stephanie Crane, the sole eyewitness, described the suspect as a young white man wearing a knit cap. This description provided their first lead, and police issued a composite sketch. They canvassed the area near the Sepulveda Pass, speaking with locals and searching for witnesses who might have seen the suspect either before or after the murder. But it was actually an acquaintance of Mikhail Markhasev who really broke the case wide open. He came forward motivated by the substantial reward offered by the Cosby family. And he told police that Markhasev, who was a Ukrainian immigrant with a history of petty crime and drug use, had boasted about the killing. Now, this, of course, led detectives directly to Markhasev, and upon further investigation, they discovered some pretty damning evidence that did in fact tie him to the crime. Police recovered a .38 caliber revolver, the murder weapon, along with a knit cap which matched the description given by Stephanie Crane. Both items contained DNA evidence linking Markhasev to the murder, and it was all enough for police to be able to make an arrest. Later, as Markhasev awaited trial, investigators also uncovered a series of jailhouse letters written by Markhasev in which he admitted to the crime. One letter read, quote, "I killed a N-word. I don't care. That's the way it is." End quote. These letters just solidified the case against him. Mikhail Markhasev's trial began in July 1998. The prosecution built a powerful case relying on a combination of physical evidence, eyewitness testimony, and Markhasev's own written confessions. The jury was shown the .38 caliber revolver and knit cap, both of which contained DNA evidence directly linking Markhasev to the scene of the crime. Stephanie Crane testified, recounting the terrifying moments that led up to Ennis's murder. But one of the most damning pieces of evidence came in the form of Markhasev's letters. These handwritten notes not only detailed his involvement in the murder, but also revealed his motives and his lack of remorse. The letters were read aloud in court, and their content shocked both the jury and the people in attendance. Prosecutors argued that Markhasev, driven by greed and fueled by prejudice, killed Ennis Cosby in cold blood simply because Ennis hesitated to hand over the money fast enough. The defense attempted to sow doubt about the validity of the letters, claiming that they were either fabricated or coerced. They also argued that the DNA evidence, while compelling, was still circumstantial. However, these arguments failed to sway the jury. The overwhelming weight of the evidence, coupled with the eyewitness testimony and those letters, left little room for doubt about what had actually happened on that January night. After 2 days of deliberation, the jury found Markhasev guilty of first-degree murder and attempted robbery. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, along with an additional 10 years for the attempted robbery. The judge, when he was delivering the sentence, described Markhasev's actions as senseless and reprehensible. Then, in a surprising turn of events, Markhasev later confessed to the crime in 2001 when he wrote a letter to the California Deputy Attorney General. In it, he stated, quote, "I am guilty and I want to do the right thing. More than anything, I want to apologize to the victim's family." End quote. With this admission, he requested that his appeals be dropped, effectively closing the legal chapter of this case. The murder of Ennis Cosby left an indelible mark on his family and the broader public. Bill and Camille Cosby, in their grief, thanked law enforcement and the public for their support, but said that no legal outcome could ever bring their son back. In honor of Ennis's memory, they established scholarships and programs for children with learning disabilities, ensuring that Ennis's legacy was one of compassion and advocacy. For those who knew Ennis personally, his memory lives on as a testament to kindness. He overcame significant challenges to build a life of purpose, and his legacy continues to inspire countless individuals facing their own struggles. Ennis Cosby was more than the son of a famous entertainer. He was a kind, compassionate, and driven young man whose life was dedicated to helping others. His murder on January 16th, 1997, was a senseless act of violence, but his legacy endures through the lives he touched and the work his family has done in his honor. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you found this story compelling, please subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to join me again tomorrow as we explore another significant event in true crime history. Stay safe, and remember that behind every headline is a life worth remembering. Day by Day, True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!